Okay, so we can talk about this 正式なカップル. Now that's, you guys will vouch that that's not something that's really said in Japanese, would you say? Have you heard it?
I don't think I've heard it, no.
And the reason that we used that was because we really could not find anything equivalent for like going official couple. There are things that exist, but their level of formality is higher. Or yeah, go ahead.
This word isn't weird.
So it's natural enough to use, but it's not something that you would hear necessarily.
We would just say couple. We don't say the 正式.
Because it's unnecessary.
Because couple means officially a couple. So.
Right, exactly. And so this is kind of dealing with this point that we were dealing with in the previous discussion, which is to say that the assumption that you're dating in Japan is much higher. So like one thing I've heard of, for example, and actually Andrew warns Yui about this later in the course, spoiler alert, is that Japanese women may start dating somebody and assume they're in a relationship, but they're not. Because right, it's gotten physical, and they're assuming, oh yeah, okay, now we're dating. So now I have heard anecdotally of this happening because the assumption here, right, is much higher that there's no kind of, so let me put it in the inverse. The assumption in the States probably is like, it's a situationship until proven otherwise, right? Or what do you want to call it? I don't know, maybe a situationship is an upgraded version of friends with benefits, right? Because it's like, look, these two people like each other. There's clearly chemistry, but they have not like, they've not committed. They're not official. Then there comes that phrase like, they're not official. It's not a committed, serious relationship. And then there's even questions about what is a serious relationship, right? So in Japan, it seems like there is a greater assumption that you're in a relationship because the inverse is not very often the case. Or it's, I don't know if this is, maybe I'm murkying up my words here, but do you know what I'm saying?
So it's like whether they're actually a thing or they're just, hanging out and whatnot, right?
So I've talked to Japanese women who have told me that they thought they were in a relationship with a foreign guy and they were not because they just assumed because it became physical and, and because in Japan, it's the level of trust, I think, is much higher because of the Kokuhaku culture and the culture in general is more traditional. So there was kind of an assumption made there. So I don't know, have you guys had, friends with foreign guys, or have you heard of that kind of thing yourselves with friends, or not really? Where somebody maybe was like, I thought we were going out, but then I realized we weren't.
I've had that personally.
Okay. So this is a real thing, right? Yeah.
Well, I didn't really know how the dating culture was like in America. Yeah, in the States. And I thought we were doing things that only like couples would do, like, I don't know, go on dinner dates and hang out at his place, whatever, whatnot. And he told me he liked me, and it had been maybe like 3 or 4 months since I started seeing. Okay. But apparently it was not an official thing. It was just a situationship.
So when did you realize that it was a situationship? Or was it only in hindsight?
I guess when he left me for someone else.
Ah. And then did you directly like bring it up, or no? Like did you say?
Oh no!
Were you like, hey?
I guess
what the fuck?
I guess I started to realize it when he was like being a little distant, and I was like, oh, like, are we dating? Are we not? Like, are we like a thing? And he was like, no, what or whatever. Like,
oh, so he acted like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know. He just told me that it wasn't it. And I was like, oh, okay. No, because I think I was talking to a lot of my friends about this back then, and they all agreed like that we were kind of like a thing or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds, externally, it sounds so.
Oh, he said he likes you. Yeah. He said...
Doesn't mean anything in the States, though.
What?
It's so interesting to see your guys' reaction.
Yeah.
It does not, I like you means I like you. That's it.
It's a typical situationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's because, yeah, of course he likes you. Like, why would he be going on dates with you if he didn't like you? But that is why we talked about this in lesson 2, because it doesn't still mean that you are official.
You don't say I like you to friends. That's why.
Well, I like my friends.
Well, in Japanese.
You know, I like my buddies. No, I don't want to kiss them, but yeah. So I understand what you're saying, but this is why it's so interesting. Is this like clearly like there's just a massive cultural gap here, right? Because it's like, okay, you said you like me, like if you're Japanese, like that siren goes off, like okay, we know what that means. But in America, like, I mean, you know, yeah, I like you. This is great. Let's go grab dinner and then let's Netflix and chill or whatever it is. I don't know if people say that anymore, but it still doesn't, unless it's really addressed. And this comes in later lessons in the course. Like Andrew's like, yo, you better watch out, except in Japanese, right? And unless it's really addressed in American culture, and this is what we kind of the ground that we cover here is that you need to have that conversation. And so somebody's going to press the issue. And my experience is somebody's going to be like, so what are we?
That's so awkward.
Yeah, I've been on both sides of this fence myself. I have to say it's America. My Brazilian ex, I was on the side of the fence where I really liked her, but she was having fun. I mean, lots of fun with lots of people, if you know what I mean. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm like, I just like, I really like you. Like, are we going to do this or not? And it actually put the pressure on her. And I wasn't trying to manipulate her. I was just like, look, I can't take this. I like you. So I can't like know that you're hooking up with a bunch of other people. And I was like, yeah, I mean, I'd like to be my girlfriend. And then actually she Kokuhaku to me. And it was I was like, wait, I thought you liked all these other guys. And it very much surprised me. But, so yeah, in the States, that's what often happens. I think the typical image of this is that it is the man who is evading of commitment. But I don't think that's always the case. And then you've got to get, and so that conversation happens. And you're like, hey, what the fuck's going on here? And that's somewhere probably in between date 3 and like date 30. I think it could be anywhere from like, if it's really fast, it could be 2 or 3 weeks. That would be quite fast, but up to like even 6 months, some cases. So I've been in, my second girlfriend was probably in that much longer frame. The Brazilian one, that one for me was a little bit faster because I was like losing my mind. You really like somebody. You're just like, you don't want them to be like, who were you with last night? Like, it's not a good feeling. So anyway, so moving back to Japanese though. So yeah, so this is such an interesting phenomenon that it really is, it doesn't really exist. I mean, there's kind of ways you can say it, but it's not like a common expression because it's not really needed in Japanese society. At least my theory is because of the Kokuhaku culture. So Shinken na, I think I've seen that in dating apps.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe. So that's a common term, right?
Well, nowadays because of dating apps, like, there's always those have fun kind of relationships. So like a lot of apps makes advertisements that says like this app particularly have a lot of people who are looking for serious relationships like that.
Pairs.
Yeah, Pairs.
I have a friend who's on Pairs and he did not enjoy Bumble. He didn't seem to fare well with Bumble or enjoy the experience. And so he went to Pairs, and on Pairs, he's like apparently been a rock star. But he's actually very much he's an extremely earnest person that's really looking for a serious relationship. So maybe that's why he's connecting really well with the girls there, because they're also looking for that and they sense that he's not charai, right? So so this is kind of so this will be kind of put and sorry, could you guys say it for me again?
Shinken na Otsukiai.
Okay, and so Shinken na Otsukiai is like a serious relationship. Is that how you translate it as best you could? Or is it something a little bit different?
It's a serious relationship. I feel like there's like a hidden message or whatever, like
You're gonna get married?
marriage in your in mind.
僕と真剣なお付き合いしてくれませんか means like, will you date me with like the preference of marrying each other? Like,
okay, so this is what I think I recall when we were working on this long ago is, and I think in America, when a girl says on a dating app, and I would say it's very common, it's like serious relationship, I'm looking for a serious relationship. There is an implication, right, that this could lead to marriage. So you guys would say kind of similar thing with this.
Yeah.
It's sort of implied like, look, I'm not, I don't want to waste my time here.
I don't think it's as serious as people who say Kekkon Zentei ni Otsukiai. Like those people are looking to get married.
Like hardcore. It's like, look, I've got 6 months and then I want to have my babies.
It's more like, I want you to be my partner for the rest of our life. So
right. So like, don't mess around here.
Don't mess around.
Like,
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I'm filtering on that level. And okay, could you guys say that one for me again? The marriage serious one.
結婚を前提に付き合ってください。
結婚前提に付き合ってください.
I'm going to have to practice that. And then the other one we have here, right, which you guys already said, I'll try to do it with my Gaijin pronunciation, is Shinken na Tsukiai. Very interesting, right? Just to kind of philosophize a little bit about the need for language and culture, right? If something is so obvious, you do not need to specify it, right? This constantly comes up with our courses, right? We're finding like, you can't translate that. It doesn't make any sense. Why? Because we already know in Japan. This comes up a lot with shrines and temples, right? Where it's like, we know what you do at a shrine, so you don't need to say that. And in this case, right, in Japan, the certainty and the clarity of official relationships is there is in general such a lack of ambiguity that this is not like a common set phrase of specifying. Well, okay, so here we do have the Shinken na, and we do have the marriage terms, but I don't think it's to the level of in the States, right, where we're really like that language of committed serious like, are you in a commit, like, I mean, he's in a committed serious relationship. Like, why do I even need to say that? But a lot of times that's what you need to say. Like, I think I remember being out one time and we were out. Oh, actually, this was Waseda Sill's friends. And a friend of mine, I was very flattered by this, of course, but I was out with a bunch of friends, and a friend of mine who's a Sill student was with another Sill student, and she asked him about my status. And so he said, well, this is a couple years ago, or no, this is a year and a half ago. So I was actually in a relationship, and he said, now speaking to her in Japanese, I don't know what he said, but I said, oh, okay, well, that's cool. I feel very flattered by that. He said, yeah, I told her you're in a serious committed relationship, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I wonder how he said that, like what did he say? I should ask him, like, how did he convey? He's bilingual too, by the way, actually trilingual. So he speaks native Japanese and native English. So I'm like, well, that's how he said it to me. What did he say to her? So anyway, that was an interesting case for me and also very flattering. Our Japanese romance and dating course is now available at gogenlanguages.com. Check out the first 20 minutes for free on the website. Okay, so sengen, remind me of what that is.
Declare? Manifest?
Declared.
Okay, now it's coming back to me. So this is the declared, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you official? Are you declared? That's another thing. Is like, are you guys like declared? Is it declared? Is it crystal clear? Like, and the declaration part of this, I think, comes from the fact that, like, long ago, in a land long before you guys were born, there was this thing called Facebook. and you had Facebook relationship status. Have you heard of this? From my parents.
Right.
Yeah. So, right, that was like, at a certain time, that was really like, I mean, that was a big fucking deal, right? The Facebook relationship status thing was, it would make people go ballistic. There were stories in the news where somebody removed somebody and then like you had that whole like, something violent happened, right?
Oh, wow.
Because it became to take on such a, right, this is the public, explicit, declared, communication, right? And that's, are you declared? Like, are you telling all your friends? Are you telling everybody? Does the whole world know? Which in Japan is an interesting thing too, because people won't say. Like, in this country, like, and in this culture, like, people will not share that information. Some people will, but like a lot of people will just not share it. And if you even ask about it, it can be quite invasive. Like, so just, going off on a little tangent on this, one of the things that I noticed is if somebody wanted to know if you were with somebody, and you guys tell me if I'm completely off basis, but I saw this happen. This was a very interesting thing. And I was like, why would she ask that? What are you doing for Christmas? And I was like, why in the world? Like, because this is my gaijin brain, right? I'm like, why in the world would you ask me what I'm doing for Christmas? That's like, how many months away? And then I was like, wait, I'm in Japan. People wouldn't ever ask that directly. It's way too direct to ask. So that's like if you want to find out if somebody's in a relationship, that's a way that you could do it, right? Because in Japan, that's clearly a romantic occasion, I believe. And I also found out birthdays are too.
I guess.
Yeah, but Christmas is more
It's
intense.
bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I realized I was like, oh, okay, this is wow. I had to do the math on that. And anyway, so this is generally in Japan the culture of kind of declaring things, even if you are in an official relationship. It's just what do you think? If you do it at the nomikai, certainly your good friends know, but it's not like something that you just put out there unless you have a reason to, right?
The Christmas question?
No. Like the directly even talking about relationships.
Like, I have a girlfriend.
Yeah, I have a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend. Like in America, we're like, oh, my girlfriend, or, but I found in Japan, people really don't. Well, in general, information in Japan, I feel, and again, this is a broad generalization, but people are more closely guarded with it. This is why you have the term tatemae. And this extends to personal information about relationships. So it's like, if it comes up, like, if we're hanging out, you're with your friends, your good friends, you're in this kind of nomikai environment, and you get into that topic, of course.
Yeah.
But like, it's not just it's less likely in Japan to just come out.
But
Or disagree?
people do Niyowase.
Yeah, like soft launching.
Yeah, soft launching on Instagram.
Explain that. Oh, okay. I've seen these where you're like, you get like the couple's picture?
Yeah.
Like
yes.
the partner's not in the frame, but you can tell that it's like at least some sort of.
So it's like there's a drink and you're at Disneyland or something.
Yeah, like that. Like exactly.
Okay.
Or you're at kind of like a fancy restaurant. Like the other guy looks like a guy.
Yeah.
So
With
that's
like
the
man hands.
Man hands.
Okay. I think
And then obviously you go to like directed DMs and like, wait, is this your boyfriend?
so that's
And
how
she's
it
like,
works.
yeah, I just started dating.
You guys are teaching me so much. Okay, I've had that happen to me with somebody I dated, and I was like, okay, we were at that bar, and you put that picture up, and my face isn't in it, but the drinks that we were drinking, and then there's the hand shot.
That's a soft launch.
Oh, God, okay.
People either do it for attention or they want to post something about their relationship, but they're too shy to post like obviously like their faces or something.
Yeah.
Or sometimes girls can be embarrassed to show their boyfriends to other girls, so they just do soft launches.
Very interesting. And what would do you guys even call it that in Japanese or?
Niyowase.
Oh, Niyowase. Okay, you just said it. Niyowase. Very interesting. But this makes total sense because I always joke with my friends. I'm like, why do Japanese people not put their faces in photos? Because then when I go online or I go on Instagram, I'm like, oh God, this happened to me at the Cosmic event recently. I had to message Johan and I was like, do you remember who this person? It's generally like when I meet people, I try to send everybody, a boy or girl, man or woman. I mean, it's usually not a boy or girl. It's a man or a woman, right? You know, I always try to kind of follow up with them and just be like, hey, it was really nice meeting you, blah, 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 blah. I was like, and then you have like the picture of a dog or a picture of like, oishi, delicious food. And I'm like, I do not know who this person is. There's no photos. And it's like very common in Japan, right? That the people are very cautious about putting themselves out there. So this soft launch thing makes sense. And so this goes back, this kind of reroutes itself back to this idea of declared relationships, right? So this term, can you guys, so this sengen sareta kappuru, how would you translate that? Should it be like a declared couple?
Yeah, declared couple.
Now, have you ever heard that or no? So it's kind of, this is really trying to explain American concepts in Japanese, right? So this is for Americans that really want to be able to convey essentially what is going on in our culture, but it's not really said, right? So, and is sengen, would you say sengen's more formal, less formal as a word?
I mean, I feel like it literally means declare.
Yeah. It really means declare.
Declares, I see. Okay. Oh, okay. So here we have this, right? So line 20 here, Nihon wa skoshi, what is this? Conservative, right?
保守的。
保守的な. And then this is Nikutai Kankei.
Yeah.
So, right, that refers to the physical relationship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a good one. I think it's probably a good one to know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys would give me the authentic rendition of that.
Nikutai Kankei.
Nikutai Kankei.
All right. So that term refers to just generally things in the physical realm, right? And that's kind of a broad term, very common. Would you guys say pretty common if you're in a conversation about dating with good friends and you're going to be like, hey, what's happening with whoever, then maybe that could come up.
I don't think it's it's not like a super common topic, but it can come up.
Like very good friends and you're kind of like, very, very close friends. You guys are having drinks and you're kind of getting into that.
Well, if you're close friends, then I feel the words are going to be more direct.
Yeah.
So this is kind of sitting in the middle somewhere where it's like,
maybe like you're talking with like the opposite gender or.
And I guess in this case, really, these types of terms come up because Yui is explaining, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of a little bit of an academic standpoint. And these conversations that we've built, they're designed to give people the tools to talk about relationships. I suppose in this kind of cross-cultural way. And this of course comes into the context of the third date, right? Because generally, and maybe we can wrap up on that note. So basically on the third date, right, you get the Kokuhaku. And then from that point on, basically it's okay. Or would you say, okay, so here's a question. Would you say it is expected then to do the first kiss after the Kokuhaku? Or no built-in expectation?
No.
Not necessarily. So it's not like, okay, you may kiss the bride type of
Some
thing.
girls might
Want to?
might think that you just asked her out so you can have physical things with her.
Right. So this is a phenomenon that I have heard of as well, is that the Kokuhaku can backfire.
Yeah.
Because what guys will do is they will serial Kokuhaku.
The guys are like, I want a girlfriend, and girls are like, I want a boyfriend. Just because they want a boyfriend, just because
To
they
be
want
like,
a girlfriend.
I have a boyfriend.
Yeah, like that. Or also like, well, mainly guys, because obviously biological, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, they want to have those kind of stuff. They're like, I want a girlfriend because.
Want to hook up.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I've heard of too, is that some guys, yes, they will strategically. So a lot of the arguments, and I think this is a good closing point for this as well. We bring it back over to Kokuhaku. A lot of the arguments about Kokuhaku in terms of pros and cons, I think you and I were talking, actually we got into a very deep discussion about that
Yeah, I think,
when we were working on this material. The pros and cons of Kokuhaku versus the Western style. So okay, so we've heard kind of like Kokuhaku can certainly be abused. And women are aware of this, right? They're aware of a guy who's going to, I would say, a serial kokuhaku, right? He's going to go from one girl to the next. He's going to be like, okay, did my kokuhaku, keys to the kingdom. And then 3 weeks later, he's like, sayonara, whoever it is, Haruka. And then he's on to the next one and he's going to do 1, 2, 3. No.
It's not like that, right? It's more like they just confess, they just date you just because they want to date you and have fun. It's not like they're going to break up soon and go move to another one. It's more
just
like
not serious at all. There's
no
Shinken,
seriousness.
there's
Just like keeping you so they can have fun.
It's basically a situationship, except they call it a relationship.
Yeah, this has a label.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're skipping ahead a little bit, but my friend, my Waseda friend who's bilingual, Kikoku Shito, very good friend of mine, she said when I asked her, because she actually worked on some of these projects too, she said when I asked her, what is Honmei? And if I'm getting this correct, she said, oh, when somebody's like got a lot of people they're dating at the same time, that's the one you really like. And then for my other friends, my Gen Z friends, because she's a millennial, she's kind of like what I guess you could call lower millennial. My Gen Z friends, some of them were like, no, that's like the person that you really like. Wow, they're amazing. They're that one true love. And I was like, wait a second, is this the same story told differently? Or what's going on with that?
So people who have Honmei are obviously dating multiple people. So
really, that's
well, not dating.
Do you think that there's multiple meanings to it, perhaps?
No, I think usually it's like when you're seeing multiple people, but people nowadays, they don't just use it for dating, they use it for like idols, like people who they like, whatever. My Honmei is whatever. So like
interesting. So it's expanded.
So in that sense, maybe people have like come to use it for just this one person they really like. Like maybe they don't have side chicks, but they might still be using that term. But originally, I think it stems back to like having a lot of people, like seeing a lot of people.
Okay, because that's what she was saying. She's like, oh, you got like 6, and I was like, whoa. I was like, this is, okay, I'm hearing very disparate opinions on that.
Oh, there's also a thing called Honmei Choco.
Oh, yes, that thing. We talked about that, right? That's like for the one that you, okay, so there's like friend Choco, and then there's like I like you Choco.
Yeah.
Right?
On Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Okay, so there's that too. And there's probably some interconnectedness between these concepts, right?
If you give the Honmei Choco, you're basically telling the other person that you like.
Right. So it's traditionally from the girl to the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Valentine's Day is for girl to guy. White Day is from the guy to the girl.
Right. I had to learn all this. I remember the first time I got a chocolate on Valentine's Day, and I was very flattered. But I was like, oh, this is different. This is nice. Because in America, it's like Valentine's Day is kind of your chance to make a mistake because you will not properly. So if you don't properly celebrate it, right, the girl's going to think you don't care. And so like as a guy, you're like, you've got to be, really kind of like Valentine's Day is a big day. We got to plan that date. We got to get that gift. We got to, from a guy perspective, that's always kind of like the stand-up comedy joke is, right, oh my God, I better do this correctly. Otherwise, the girl is going to think that I don't care, right? I don't care enough. Maybe, do you think in Japan, do you think that's more like Christmas? Is like where there's kind of pressure on the guy to do something fun and not fun, sorry, romantic, significant.
Maybe birthday is more like that.
Birthday, yeah.
Which is also perplexing for us, by the way.
No, I think both are pretty close to the whole Valentine's culture.
But a lot of girls idealize Christmas, so they like to plan. So
that's true.
A lot of girls like to plan, so it
yes,
goes
girls
both
do
ways.
really like plans. That's true. That's really true. Yeah, it's interesting with the birthdays. I remember I got into a little trouble because I didn't realize that birthdays were like a romantic thing here. Because for us, it's family and friends.
I thought it was like a universal thing, though. Kind of birthdays, celebrating birthdays with your significant other.
You do in the States, but it's almost always with friends and family. So like, it's very
Oh.
rare in the States that you would do it exclusively with your significant other. And I was super, when I was in my relationship, I was super confused by that. I was like, wait, what? I was like, but friends, family, right? And it's like, no, like we go do something romantic. I'm like, wait, are you serious? I thought like I couldn't believe it. But here, right, that's the case, right? You go and do something nice together.
There's even like this trend where, well, you book a hotel and like spend a night there, but before the birthday girl or boy comes into the room, the other person decorates the whole entire room with like balloons and.
I have participated in that. So my now ex-girlfriend, we went to what is it? They did a terrace house there. Karuizawa. We got an Airbnb and it was a couples thing. So there's a good female friend of mine and her American boyfriend. And we went as a couple and it was pretty big Airbnb. So there was the downstairs room where they were sleeping. We had separate rooms, of course. And we spent like hours decorating the balloons and the numbers. And I mean, I don't know, my ex and even I spent like, I had to distract him. So I was doing oh, come over here. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about that. Like, are you guys ready yet? Because I mean, he's like, what are they up to? And then like, of course, it was very elaborate. They were like blowing balloons for hours. And so that's what that is.
That's what that is. That's like a surprise gift to show how much they love you.
Wow. I didn't know. Okay, so that is a cultural thing.
I feel like that people do that for their friends now too.
Yeah,
though.
they do that to their friends too.
I've done it for my friends.
Yeah, I've done it to my friends too.
Is there a name for it?
It's just a birthday surprise.
Yes.
It's birthday surprise. How would you say it in Japanese?
Birthday surprise. 誕生日サプライズ.
All right. Well, let's call it on that, shall we? Thank you both for being a part of the GoGen English
Thank you for
Japanese
having us.
podcast. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for hiring me.
very educational. Very educational. So thank you guys. And I guess I should say like, check out our courses, right?
Yeah.
Romance and dating, guys. Like we gotta learn about this stuff. It isn't in the textbooks. You're not going to find it anywhere else. But we have studied it and researched it to become cultural and linguistic experts in this category. Our Japanese romance and dating course is now available at gogenlanguages.com. Check out the first 20 minutes for free on the website